Hey, Lynn Feltz here. I'm going to be teaching the non-objective mixed media class for the virtual conference that we're having. Right now, I'd like to start out with the things that you need to gather to make your creation. First, I'd like to say that I would gather several different kinds of canvas boards used that you've already gessoed or new if you like. I have one that has a little bit of stuff already on it, but I'm going to go ahead and work with it as it is. And then I have one that's a stretch canvas that's got a little drawing on it that I'm going to go ahead and work over. You can also use various thicknesses of tape. Okay, so this is like an inch, this is a ½ inch, and I think I have a 1½ inch that I'll use when I start my demonstration. Spackling, this is the kind I get, lightweight spackling at Walmart or wherever you get it. And some spackling knives, putty knives, any size or shape. Also, palette knives would work really well. And what we're going to do is on these canvases, we're going to put our tape and we're going to place shapes on them, scoop out our spackling, and then put it on either all the way around or part way around. And you want to get different sizes, like that was pretty large. You can get gather small ones. You can get different shapes. Bottle caps work well. Also for scraping on, you can use any kind of flat scraping device, old cards from motels. I like combs for putting in texture and picks. These are really nice, even one that's got some broken pieces to it. You will also be applying a lot of different colors. You need to go with your own color scheme, and I'll talk to you about that later. Another thing I use sometimes to put in texture and patterns is glue, and I have my water that I can mist if I want to wet something, keep something wet. A lot of this is going to be very fluid once we build up the surfaces. I think that's about everything other than, of course, paintbrushes and water. And let me just show you a few examples, and then we'll call it good for the day. Okay, here's one of my students. She didn't pick it up, so I took it and I loved it. You can see where we put the tape on. Oh, and one thing I did forget is you will need to have some acrylic polymer if you want to paint along the edges to try to prevent the color from running under. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And then you can see where she spackled. You can see where she used the glue and spirals. This is one of my favorites that I created. And it's kind of big, but I love it. And what we're doing with this is we're working with line and space and shape and texture and contrast and repetition and unity. Another one I'll show you is and that one was green and burnt red along with black and white and gold. This one is just red and blue and white. And it came out pretty good. And these can be turned different directions, but you can see that when the circular things that are put in here, they are put at different areas or quadrants in the composition, and they help lead your eye around. We call these non-objective because there's no object to them. They're just line and shape and space and texture and color. But you can take them and do something else with them if you want. And this is another thing I did when I was teaching high school, which was After they dried, we took charcoal and we sat in front of mirrors and we did self-portraits. Now this is an example of abstraction because you have something from reality in here, whereas the other ones are just non-objective, just shape and line and different elements and principles of design. So for the workshop, go ahead and gather all your things and we'll get right back. Thank you. Okay, next we're going to start by breaking up the composition. I thought I'd show you a couple things very quickly on this paper. Canvases turned vertically or horizontally. When you do this with your tape, do not divide in half either way. Think of going across partially one direction, maybe all the way across. Drop down thick across, maybe all the way, and another. And then think in terms of how you're going to break your canvas up, which sides it's touching on, which directions your lines are moving, how far apart your lines are, how thick your lines are. Okay, so this is just an idea to get you started. Okay, we're gonna start with a big one and some tape. I did not find my 1.5 inch masking tape, so I'm gonna try some clear. Oops, that's what happens with old tape. Okay, you're gonna peel off some tape, hopefully. And we're going to, there we go. All right, I'm gonna go across part of the way and stop. If you want to cut it so that the strips are nice and straight, you can do that too. And then I'm just kind of watching to see what I like, how I like breaking it up. Now I want to make a thinner one, and I'd like to have this one close to the one I just put on vertically. And again, you may want to make sure your tape isn't too old for some of this. Get your edges down. All right, this one I'm gonna put all the way across. Okay, now let's see. This is a bit crooked, so I'm not crazy about that. Check your spacing. And really, this is your picture, the way you want to do it. Well, that kind of made a decision for me. I guess I'll go with this one. And I'll give it one more piece right here and leave a gap right here. Now what I'm going to do, I've squirted some of this out. I have done one canvas already, and now I'm going to do a second one. So I'm going to take my thinner tape and start by taping across. I am not using the other roll of tape because it's just tearing off and sticking. So you might check your tape out before you start and make sure it's not too old, because I think some of mine is. Okay, I've got those two, and now I'd like to have one somewhere over here, and I think what I'll do is just put one that doesn't touch either side right here. Now I'm ready for some thicker, and I'm moving around, seeing which way I might like to go with it. Okay. And oh, I like that. I really like that. Okay, one of the things I want to tell you is to work in odd numbers. So 3s, 5s, 7s. Now I'm taking my acrylic polymer and I'm going to paint along the edges to hopefully seal from getting any paint underneath. And what we're going to do today, this afternoon, I'm going to do this video and then one more with the spackling. Then we're going to let it dry overnight and we'll do all the color and the fluid movements tomorrow. Okay, so this is my first canvas right now. And I also did this canvas, a stretched canvas. Okay. We have just a little more time before the video gets too long, so I'm going to play with this one and see what I can come up with that. And I'm going to try this strapping tape maybe and see what kind of thing I can get out of this. I've never tried this. I'm wanting to have a thicker piece of it. Okay. I want to save some of the color back here. So I'm just going to go right along here, looking for some good color in here, right here. Okay, I'm going to get some scissors and cut that in a minute, but not right now, since we have a limitation on time with these videos. Give this, and maybe right here, and a little bit right here. And I'm going to call this good. I'm going to go ahead and paint this also, and you don't need to watch me for this, but just know that I am painting the acrylic polymer along the side. And we'll start the next video in a moment. Thank you. And get creative, and like I said, I do have the square piece, but I'm not going to use it. And I just kind of like sometimes the way these turn out in terms of the texture that I'm putting on. And once I do this, like I'm going all the way around this one, I'm making some parts longer, I might just go ahead and take my comb and rake through it. You don't have to. You can add some more parts. I think I want a little bit more here. And you can use the side of it. You can sketch into it, scratch into it, whatever you like. Okay, this guy is finished. I'm going to set him aside for tomorrow. Now I'm going to go on to my next one. I'll go ahead and do the big guy. Alrighty. Scoop up. Don't be afraid. Remember, you're doing this in, this is a lesson in composition, line, shape, how we arrange things. There isn't one right answer for this. Okay, so just, if you see something that really says something to you, then do it. Go with it. Okay, I'm just gonna, like I said, I may not get to the third canvas on this video because we need to be able to send these off in little sections, and we can only get so many of them, so much time in it. Ooh, yeah, there we go, yeah. Oh, hey, let's do it like this. Scoop some up with your comb. And oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's, oh, yeah. I don't know why I did not do this sooner. Anyway, I'm happy about this. Yay! Okay. We will see you tomorrow. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. but I will finish this one so that I'll have 3 to work with tomorrow. Okay, thanks. See you later. Hey, good morning. We're going to try applying color and some other techniques so we can start working on finishing our non-objective mixed media. So it's the next day, everything's dried. We'll see what it looks like when we peel it off. One of the things I did before I started this video was I decided to figure out color schemes. So for this one, I'm going to be using some greens and blues that are already in here and possibly some black. And I have a big bottle of blue, but I think when I put it on, I'm going to rake through it with the comb. I've got water, I have brushes. Another color scheme I want to use on another one is going to be these colors in this palette. Kind of cool, but remember when you do like a cool, you want to have at least one color that accents and contrasts. So go with a warm if you're doing basically cool, or if you're doing basically warm, think of a cool. But limit yourself, don't use too many colors. Okay, so now that I'm starting, the first thing I'm going to do is get a bunch of water and do some wet techniques in a couple of places so that I can get this to run. And it's going to be kind of hard to tell because we already have color on here, but you can see that I'm putting some of this yellowish green on here, and I'm putting it in different places. And like I said, I'm kind of using a wet technique. Also, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of this blue and I'm going to put it on in a few spots. And then, oh, here's my water. Now I'm going to do this and spray on and see how that runs. Kind of maybe help it a little bit here. It's another wet technique, but instead of putting the water on first, you put the color and then you spray. Oh, there, that looks good. And one of the things you can do is to kind of help it a little bit is maybe take and turn your palette just a bit, or your, okay. Now, then while I'm at it, since I do love to splatter, I'll go ahead and do a little bit of splatter while I'm thinking of it. Okay. All right. Now, then what I want to do is go ahead and squirt some solid color on here. I'm trying to use up some of my colors that are already pretty used up. Oh, good, there. I'm going to go ahead and get that black in there. Oh, I like that. All right, I'll be overlapping over it also after a bit. And I'll probably be finishing up this particular video pretty quick and I'm running it through some of my other colors, just putting it around so it looks like it's, the one thing I can tell from the video that I don't like, and I'm going to do this kind of quickly, is I am not happy about this huge mass of black here. So I'm going to throw some color on like this, and then I'm going to take my comb and rake back through it, and that's not really doing too much to it. So I'm probably going to have to let it dry before I can hit the top of it. Okay, so I'm going to pause. Okay, so to continue with this one, I am seeing that this is pretty solid right here with color, and so is this. And I originally had thought that I was going to use more colors than these, but it's such a small canvas that I'm just going to keep it in the turquoise, yellow, green, and blue. And once it dries, which will be a while later, I'll put something else on top of it. Okay, I'm going to pause this right now and I'll come right back. Okay, I'm back. I have my second canvas. I'm wanting to go with some reds and yellows, but I want to accent with some blue-green. So I am doing this on a cool palette. I have a warm palette and a cool palette, but I want it to be a light blue-green. So I used up some of, I have a tube of white that was almost out, and that's another thing. Marching through these non-objectives, you can use up your old or your less expensive acrylics. And again, this is a good one for high school to study not only elements and principles and non-objective, but it might be a good one to do toward the end of the year and let them make one and then set it aside and come back in like I showed you yesterday and do your self-portrait on it. Okay, so let's start this one. And again, I'm going to just flood some areas with water. I think I'll start with the spray first. See if I can get it to spray. There we go. I want to see if I can get where I put glue on here to come out to show you. See if we can get, okay, that's not really coming out that well. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's see a little bit more. Here we go. Here's one up here. See if we can get this showing. You can see, yeah, you can see, let me hold it up for you. You can see that you can get a bit of that shape of the glue. And when you're doing this, you may want to put and I should have thought of this, put some glue on there, and then after it dries, put another layer of it so it's good and thick. Okay, let's see if we can see this one pretty well. I think we can see that one pretty well. Okay, now let's try some other colors in here. And we'll just take another large brush and get some color really wet, and maybe go ahead and put some water on here with some double brushes. Another thing I meant to tell you all is that I keep handy wipes at the ready, and I also have paper towels. In between times I have to run to the sink down here and clean my hands. Okay, and again, I'm gonna work this paint around so it's not all in the same area. And if I don't like the way it's running, if it's not running enough for me, then I'm gonna go ahead and add a little water and let it run. Okay, now, one of the other colors I pulled out was this burnt sienna. And the reason I'd like to do this is it's not quite as bright as the others. So I think this will make a nice contrast in terms of intensity. You know, I tend to like everything really, really bright. Some people really travel in the blue and the cool colors. Others tend to go with the more natural earth colors. And again, you can see I'm adding water. Okay, now I want to have some contrast in temperature. I'm always talking about contrast of light and dark, contrast in direction of application, like how you put your tape down. And now we're going to put in just a bit of blue, and I'll need to stop the video because we are at the end of our time. Okay, I'm gonna add a little dark blue while the video's not on. Thank you. Okay, back. I just wanted to show you that I went ahead and added some straight from the tube turquoise, and I'm gonna see how I'm gonna brush it on here, because I originally thought having some light turquoise would look really good, but now I've kind of changed my mind and decided we need something dark in here, a little bit more contrast. Okay, and then while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and fling. I got some wet, And I'm gonna go back in, and I need to bring my red back up a little because I really didn't accent that red a whole lot. I was trying to show the glue a little bit better where the glue, and notice I'm kind of painting it in the same direction as I applied the glue. And I'll just throw in a few little more accents. It looks like I need something down in here. And I went kind of the opposite direction, though I'm not sure I like that really well, but I'll try to thin it out a bit and see if I like that. I like that a little bit better. And then I'll go ahead and take some red and fling. I'm gonna get it wet and fling it on. This is a process of being really fluid today and layering things up. And what I will do, and I'm gonna put just a tad of yellow there and then I'm gonna stop. I am gonna let these dry and I'll come back in, finish them up. Oops, I felt that on my arm. I need to get a new KAEA t-shirt. Just real quick, love the t-shirts, love the organization, Kansas Art Education Association. And Chris, I'm wearing your square earrings and one of your cloisonne, your red heart. Okay, thank you. Some of the turquoise, you can see that what I'm doing here. And if I don't have quite enough water on, I'll come along. I've got water on two sides of my canvas. And just go ahead and get that water and get that moving around. You can see the glue right here. Well, maybe you can. Down here in the bottom a little bit. Let's see if we can accent it a tad. Okay, and we have kind of blue in two places, so we better get just a little bit more blue to make three over here. Okay, and we'll let that be kind of a wet technique. One of the things, too, I didn't mention was that we need to also be saving some negative space. And you might be able to use that with a color, but also white. Now, when we peel up our tape, some of those areas are going to be white. And we can also come back on top of it and add some white. All right, now, let's go with... I wanted to do, okay, I'm just going to do this. This is one I'm dying to do, so we're just going to do it. Squirt on some paint like I did. Take a comb and just rake through it. Okay, now, oh, and it's hitting some of the areas that are wet, and that's kind of nice. And I also do like how the color changes right in here. It kind of changes to a purple. And I'm going to go ahead and put some down here, just a tad on top of where this glue has dried. Let me help with the fingers. I have gone ahead and put on an apron so that I try to save my Kansas Art Ed shirt, not like it already hasn't gotten paint on it. And I'll come up here and add just a little, oh yeah, I love that color. The turquoise and the magenta turn into a beautiful purple, a beautiful purple. In fact, let's get some of that down here. Throw a little turquoise, throw a little red. Okay, just back and forth. And we'll squirt some on and kind of scrape it, see how this works. Yeah, there we go. And we can scrape into the purple a little. Okay, I think we have enough. What's kind of nice about watching this in a video is you can see areas that are haven't had anything in them yet. Not that you have to have anything in it, but okay. So we're going to just come and throw a little bit more of this turquoise in. This is going to be a cool, and I want to go ahead and put some ooh yeah, some Theo blue. Oh yeah, that Theo blue looks really, really good. Here we go, here we go. Throw some Theo blue in there. Okay, and let's see. All righty. Oh, I like the way that looks. A little bit of water. And next door to that is the purple. So we're going to come in and get a little bit of purple in here. See how that works? Looking very, very good. I like this. This is working out really, really well. And I want this to be a little bit more wet over here. Okay. Oh, we need to go ahead and pause the video for a minute. Thank you. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this with some water in some places that I know that I put glue dots, and it's going to make the glue dots show up just a little bit. You maybe can't see them, but on your one at home where you have put glue dots and you know that they're there, go ahead and hit it. And then again, if you feel like you want to take some stuff away, let's say you want to add a little, ooh, that's kind of nice. You can come in and add and take away. See if there's maybe an area that you want to take a little bit more negative space out of, like right down here. That looks like that had a little too much in it. So I'm just gonna, oh, and here's some of my glue dots right here, if you can kind of see those. And we'll just kind of make sure that when we're doing this negative area, that we repeat it just like you would a color throughout, and make sure that you have enough negative areas throughout the whole piece. Okay, that's all I'm going to do for now, and we will get back in a little while when everything is dried. Thank you. Okay, I wanted to let you know how I finished this one up. When you look at the video prior to this, you'll see that I put tape across this, and it was just too even and equally spaced. So I went in and took away some of this, brought some of this back out over the top, tried to show in a little bit more white, a little bit more of the brown. This is my palette, a few spots of red. And one of the good things is when you're working on your own piece, if you'll get a mirror or your cell phone, or look backwards in the mirror and just like I am now in this video, and just check and see how things look. I think there could be a few more things I need to do, but what I like to do is when I get to the point where I feel like I really don't want to do any more, except I do see one thing I'm going to do while we're talking. I'm going to put a dark line right along here. I've been trying to emphasize like 3 areas. So I think, and I'll just kind of blend that off a little bit, kind of a dry brush a bit. Okay, see, I think that looks, where is it? It's right in here that it looks kind of lumpy, so there. And I've hit the red a little bit more. Just put it aside and let it go and check it tomorrow. And that's what I'm going to do with this, because I still want to put maybe a little bit more on. I have a red line under here, but I can't see it very well. I might just drop it down a tad like this. And that's okay, but it's just, I think it needs to dry. Okay, so I'm going to stop and I'm going to go on to my next one. But I wanted you to be aware that there was a compositional problem with this that I didn't really realize till I took the tape off. And it was just like 2 lines this way, 2 lines this way, and it was just like, oh, I can't believe I did that. So I was trying to undo some of it. And it'll happen. You know, everything's not perfect and out of the ballpark. That's why it's great to do several of these. Okay, I'll say goodbye and we're going to try another one. Do about 3. So if you have one that you really just don't like, you can just dismiss it and say, you know, that's the way it goes. Okay. Oh, there's a little bit more tape. Too bad, I kind of like that. You know, here's the deal. If you have an area, and I wish I had pulled that up. If you happen to have an area that you like on yours where the tape was, leave the tape on. Okay, so now I'm down to my cool color. And I know that I'm gonna want some white in here. This is my palette from earlier and it's kind of semi-dried, so that's not the best, but it is what it is. And so we will get a little bit of white. And I think what I'm gonna do is start by getting a little area in here wet, even though I was thinking I'm kind of done with wet. I'm going to go ahead and throw some little bit of Phthalo blue in here just because I want to. Okay, and we'll kind of let that run and see how that works. And let's throw some white in here too. See how we can go along with that, how we get along with that. One of the things I like to do, yeah, I'm liking that already. A lot better than the beginning of the other one once I got the tape off. And again, like I said, if you end up having areas that you go, oh, I really have some really good stuff right there, I hate to pull the tape off. Guess what? It's your painting. Don't take off the tape. Okay, so I've got that on. I got some white. I threw on a little blue. I think I'm going to accent the purple just a little bit, and then I'm going to come in with some black. And I'm going to, and yeah, this kind of dried up since this morning a bit. And I'm gonna dry brush. Okay, I just kind of got that circular thing going there. And let's see what we can do right about in here. And again, I'm just looking at it. I'm saying to myself, you need a little bit of purple going down right here. Okay, oh, I really like that. I'm not gonna do too much more to this, I don't think. I'm going to grab a little bit of black, but I just really like the way this one is coming off. It is just like, ooh, I'm so happy, so happy. And I'm wondering exactly, I don't know how much more I need. I think I'm gonna maybe throw a little bit of black on, splatters. Let's see how that is. Okay, and let's see. Be nice to have a little bit of green. And then I'm gonna call this one finished and hope that my other video that I just did before this isn't too long. That's the thing. I'm telling you. One of these days, I think I'm going to get a lesson on how to actually make a video so that I'm not doing it in little pieces like this. Okay, I'm calling this one finished. Yay! Okay, moving on to our last one. I had some cellophane wrap that was left over from packing or something. So I wadded it up and I put it on, and you can see the distressed areas where I put it. That was another type of application I wanted to tell you about. And then I'm going to pull this off and see how it looks. Again, I might not take all the tape off this one. The last one, I was pretty happy. The first one, not so much. Mainly because I broke a composition rule. Okay, this is sticking really bad. And You kind of have a choice when you put on that acrylic polymer. You can either put it on and maybe put it on 1 or 2 times to make sure that it actually stays on, or you can just get it on once and then it's either good or it's not. Okay, this is, I'm gonna leave this section of tape on because I like this part right here. I'm gonna take this section off. This might be a good time to pull out a small X-Acto knife to gently help you pry things up if you need to. You may not need to. Okay. I'm going to use my scissors here because I want to leave that part on. I want to, again, I'm just taking things out. Oh, there's another piece of plastic. All right, we're at the 2-minute mark here, folks. Trying to make sure I'm not going too far. I'm going to leave that tape there. I'm going to take this tape here. What it bothers me about taking all the tape off is that there are some places where I put the spackling that I really like and I don't want to lose it because I've got tape. And of course, like I said with the first one, it looked like just like I had put it perfectly across 2 ways this way and 2 ways down, and it was just like, oh please, why did you do that? I don't know, but I just took a chunk of something I really liked. Oh well. Okay, now we're gonna start staining a little bit of this, and again, I'm using my scissors because I want to save some. And let's have a look at this and see what we think. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to suggest that you do, and I'm gonna do it right now, is paint while you're watching your piece. And right in here, this is just kind of too bold for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of soften it a little bit. Basically keep it still pretty light, but just soften it a bit with a lot of white and a little bit of phthalo blue. Yeah, it's right here, right there, that I am having trouble. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that over it. That looks good. Right here, another transition area. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna stop and come back. Good morning. I'm gonna wrap this one up. I've got it on an easel so I can look at it backwards with the cell phone. And I've got it turned the way I think it's gonna look the best in terms of presentation. I don't have much more to do, although I accidentally got a little green in it when I was wrapping up last night, so I'm gonna add a little bit more and add a little bit of white and just finish up. I'm thinking this is kind of darkish right here, so I'm gonna add and I'm gonna dry brush this, just kind of dragging it across, and I like that. I'm not putting it a lot on. This looks like it needs a little something right here. So that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to put just a tad of green right in. And sometimes I rub off on the newspaper if I have too much, but there's not that much on here, so I'm just gonna add a little bit. I think I like that. Maybe a little bit out over here. I'm going to need to add a little bit more green to the palette. Okay. And again, rub off on the newspaper. It looks like I could accent this green a little bit more right there. And again, looking backwards, it looks like I could probably go ahead and add just a little bit more right there. That looks good. I've got some down here, but you can't really see it very well, so I'm just gonna drag it across where I combed in that plaster. That looks good. This is not coming out so well, so I'm gonna try a little bit of green on that. And then I think I'll go back to my white and add just, you gotta be careful, the white really comes out pretty strong. And it's pretty strong right here. I'm gonna rub a little bit of that off right here because I just think, looking backwards, okay, that looks better. Because I have this strong vertical here, I think I need something maybe over here. I started putting one of those in yesterday, and I'll finish. And then it's just got a little dry brush, and I'll go ahead and throw a little bit right here. And I like that. I think I need just a little bit more up here at the top. And I want to check out this side and see what needs to be done over here. Whoa, over here. And I think I'll go ahead and throw, when I did this black one that's off camera, it's this one here that I was showing you yesterday. And I'll show it again in here in just a second. I finished it in the art room totally backwards in the mirror, kind of like I'm doing this right now. Okay. And I think I'll just take a little bit more right here on this one. And I'm going to call that good. Thank you. Okay, so I want to wrap up my favorite one, which is this larger stretch canvas. I put a little bit of gold in a palette, and now I'm just going to rub something on the top, accenting some areas that I think, oops. And now if you get a little too much like I did there, use a wipe and wipe some off, because you're just trying to drag in, and it may be kind of hard to tell from the video, but once you get it in the sunlight, in a room with natural light, I'm in a basement, so we don't have any real natural light in here. And I'm just kind of following the pattern of this, how I put the spackling on, some of the lines with the tape. It's just kind of the final thing that adds the little bit of final touch. And again, it's probably hard for you to tell that I'm getting anything on here, but that's okay. Now, I want to go ahead and add some splatters. You notice I just put water, put it in my gold. My gold was out of a jar, so it was already a little thinner. Okay. But I'm thinking I might like some white, so get a different brush and another palette with some white on it. And this white came out of a tube, so it's a little bit thicker. So again, I'm gonna water it down. Okay, using a round brush and just gonna splatter, because I feel like the splatter is what kind of ties it all together. Okay, so I'm gonna say that this one is finished. This is the other one I've been working on off camera. It was the one with the problem of having like a perfect squares going in there. And so I worked it down to where I had one line going across from top to bottom, one that starts on this side and ends here, and one that ends here. I had 3. I like it much better. It's a bit overworked, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw some splatters on it as well. And I might do a little bit of gold, but I really think that I'm going to go ahead and throw on just a little bit of black, but I'm testing it first off on the newspaper. And I think I kind of like that, except for that one right there. So I'll wipe that off. And really what I should have done was taken the bluish green that I've been using in here and worked it up to do a splatter. So I will do that. Okay. And so I'm gonna call that good. It doesn't have any metallic on it, but it'll be fine. Remember, I decided I wasn't gonna do any more with it. The only thing I might do is paint the sides. And because I already splattered it. I might throw a little gold on, but that's entirely up to you. I thought about silver too. So thank you for participating, and send me pictures of the non-objective mixed media that you come up with. And thank you very much.